I went to high school with a bunch of dudes who were super into airsoft. I was not, but they always had extra camo and extra gear and extra guns for me to borrow, and I would go with them and get my little blown off.
Right.
and I was terrified every second we were out there. Dude. But I remember being in like camo and like laying down in the woods. I remember like one time like literally laying for like 45 minutes and nothing happened. And I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Grass Touchers, episode 36, where we, the three of us pals, talk about video games, specifically video games that are good, that we like, and in this episode, that are realistic shooters, that are cool, that make us feel like we have great big dongers.
For guys only, and girls can stay out.
That's right.
And it's not gay. We're hanging out, being cool together, not doing gay stuff for the last time.
Jake's cool game for cool guys. That's right. Yeah, I'm Jake.
I'm Jared.
And I'm Greg.
I am so stoked to talk about one specific thing that all of us like, and then just kind of let it be jazz after that. Jared, what have you been up to?
I've been up to the same stuff. I've been playing a little bit of the same games that I talked about last week, and then Jake and I might have gotten ourselves into an even more oldie goldie. Actually, it's an old moldy, but
well
said. Now it might be a goldie. We will see. We just kind of dipped our toes in it last night, so we'll see.
It's too early to tell. That's for sure. Yeah. That's all I know.
That's it, Jake.
Not a lot of video games, but Jake and I played Ready or Not on Sunday, and that was super fun. Our second time playing that game.
It's only our second time.
Yeah, and had even more fun time. Had an even more fun time than the first one. Really, really sweet game. Feels very unique to play.
Yeah.
What'd
you think of that mission? The for the listener, we played the second mission in sort of order, which is called 23 megabytes or something. Where we went to the condos and it was a little more complex. What'd you think?
Good. I found myself like getting turned around a few times. But it was fun. It's just the game feels very unique. You know, like every once in a while you play a game that is in, for lack of, better definement, it's in a certain category. Like that game is a shooter. I mean, really, right. It is, broadly, right? But it's not. It's like, it's interesting. So that's one of those that I definitely think breaks the mold of its genre, which is really, really cool. So
yeah, buddy.
Looking forward to playing that more, hopefully. Yeah, that's pretty much it. What about you, Jake?
Yeah, Ready or Not. Absolutely madly in love with that game right now. I've gotten to, since we last talked, a couple more missions forward in the progression. I've finished the one that is essentially the plot of Sicario, where you go to a den of like cartel dudes trying to smuggle people across the border. There's like passports on a desk, and those are evidence. You got to collect them. And you clear out, you can see like the United States border wall from the map that you're at. It's like this Texas border town, and you go to like a farmstead where there's a barn and some stuff, and there's people's suitcases, and there's like sleeping bags everywhere. And there's this tunnel that goes into a classic, just, old school like drug tunnel. and I cleared everybody out from there. I got an A on my first try, and I was just really impressed with myself, I guess. I don't know. The game feels really good when you kind of get the game's like design language a little bit, and you start to really pick up the fundamentals of Ready or Not. Doing a mission for the first time and getting an A is like, all right, I've made it. You know, it was pretty cool. Now I'm on a mission where there's a 3-story hotel where a bunch of right-wing extremists with customized ARs and P90s and 5.7s and body armor have taken a politician hostage, and it's a lot harder because those guys are geared up and ready to rock. And then Jared and I got into Tarkov. That's coming up in a second with our kind of main segment. Yeah, dude, rip to my life and my mental health. But I also took another adventure into Civilization 6, and I think it hasn't been long enough since I've played that game for me to enjoy it again yet, if that makes sense. I don't know if you guys have ever done this where like you play a game like for a lot more hours during a week than you thought you would. And then when you try to circle back, you're like, oh, this is still like, I haven't gotten all of this out of my system yet. Like I played this so much that I'm kind of sick of it still. I actually don't want to play this right now. Because Civ is so the same every map, every time, every scenario, every game that you boot up. Yeah, you could pick a different leader that has different strengths and weaknesses, and you could choose a different map. But there's land and ocean, and there's resources, and there's scarcity, and there's, war and peace, and it's just kind of, like you are up to the same challenge kind of every time. And I played Trajan, the Roman Emperor. Trajan?
Michael Trajan.
Yeah.
Michael Strahan. I played Roman Emperor Michael Strahan.
Wow.
And it was a great time. His buff is like every road that he makes, it happens automatically instead of you having to build a trading caravan, and then that trading caravan is sent from one city to another city, and that creates a road. When you found a new city, it just automatically links a road between the two cities. All roads lead to Rome. Oh, wow. And it's like kind of a boring buff. And I was like, this sucks. I don't want to play this anymore.
Right.
So anyway, and then Tarkov, I tried to play a little bit of that during a break today. But here we go. Jumping right in.
Mm-hmm.
It's broken. It didn't work.
You don't say.
And so they had a little issue. I already sent Jared the screen cap. The gist of it was... We'll get to why we return to Tarkov in a moment, but...
why you would ever be so mentally sick as to return to Tarkov.
What on earth I was thinking. At 2:42 p.m. today, my time, Escape from Tarkov tweeted, as a result of a technical malfunction, there was a loss of part of the game profile's data. It is not possible to restore profiles in a short period of time. All players whose profiles have been affected will receive proportional in-game compensation in a short period of time. I thought you said you can't do anything in a short period of time. Achievements and in-game stats were not lost due to this technical issue. Hashtag Escape from Tarkov. The reason we jumped back into this stupid thing was because they recently added on to the game a PvE mode. So you can not have to worry about cheaters. You don't have to worry about sort of the meta and like what other people are doing. It's just you and your pals, or just you by yourself, against a bunch of AI. There's AI scavs, there's AI PMCs, all the bosses are in. I hear the bosses are spawning like darn near 100% of the time, I guess.
Oh, wow.
Which is cool, so that you can kind of farm those bosses and complete the quests that require you to kill bosses easier.
Have there been bosses? Have there always been bosses in the game?
Yeah. Fortunately for you, you haven't had to encounter any, because the few times we played Tarkov, we just weren't... we weren't gearing up for anything like that. There's a boss for every map-ish. Some bosses there's multiple of on a given map, and then it's just like a roll of the dice. So there's like I think at one time there was a number floating around out there that was like 15%. About 15% of the time, such and such boss is on a map. Well, what sucks is you could have some really high-level gear and be, mid to almost totally through all the quests, and you could kind of run into this roadblock where you've been trying to kill a boss for a quest, and it's in there. There's nothing you can do. Yeah. And you're in it. You've spawned into the world with all this gear that you could lose, whether you like it or not, and whether the boss is there or not. And so
now, bosses, anyway, are we talking like like normal humans? Are we talking like big Gundams, or like are we talking like what kind of bosses are we fighting? in this game?
They're like 8 foot tall mongoloid, like unkillable, like but they have an IQ of like 4.
They are big dumb bullet sponges that are like caricatures of like Russian stereotypes. So there's like a big shirtless meth head with like a welder mask on who chases you around with a sledgehammer.
So a Russian person.
So a Russian person. And then there's like a great big fat gay
guy. That kind of he kind of embodies the Russian spirit too, I think, right?
There's one guy that's just a big fat guy with like a RPK, a Russian LMG, and he's a bullet sponge. The only way to make bosses work in that game, and really you could say this about other aspects of the game, you have to just buff them in ridiculous ways that don't make any logical sense, right? You give so-and-so 500 torso HP because for the aesthetic of this boss character, he has to be shirtless. He can't be wearing, a SWAT team sort of ready or not style like vest. So it looks like you could just blow right through his whole torso with a shotgun slug, and you cannot. So yeah, the bosses are just big dumb humans that are bullet sponges, and they're kind of tricked out in a way that is purely just mechanical.
And they usually have like scabs like around them, kind of like mobbed up.
Yep. It's not like they're by themselves where you can just pick them off, generally speaking. So I guess you could do that with that guy that's on woods by the lumber yard. If you're lucky, I guess you could snipe him, but then somebody else is going to get the loot because you're too far away. Yeah. So anyway, Escape from Tarkov really is, Jared and I have said this before, in a lot of ways, it's the perfect game to scratch some of my itches and some of Jared's itches. And Greg, I know you've enjoyed it too because of the environment and the sound. And
I just lay in the grass. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool in that game to just hide and try not to die because it's like that, engaging and atmospheric. The reason I say that is my whole steez is like realistic guns, cool gunplay, lots of customization, and the ability to like feel as though this is pretty darn close to real life. That's the thing I enjoy just across the board in games. Jared is an absolute slut for an in-game economy. And so when those show up, as Tarkov has in spades, Jared's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna min-max, my ability to produce this and sell this, and I'm gonna grab this, and oh yeah, hey man, you need anything? I got 400 million rubles. You want me to buy you a drone, an actual drone strike from President Obama himself? Because I've got the cash.
Yeah,
like, Jared's rolling in money because he's all about the economy, and I'm all about the tactics and shooting, and so it's this cool, synergy. So for there to be PvE is supposed to be a match made in heaven. Yeah. Jared and I played one match, two. Sorry, we did a scav run and then a PMC run on Ground Zero, and it was fine. The reason we didn't make it out was because we just got absolutely overwhelmed by scavs, and I think that's as far as a meta to speak of, I think that's what you're going to need to be prepared for in the PvE server. Is like,
and that was on us too, because like we were killing guys and like waiting around to like loot the bodies, and like it gave them an opportunity to like come to where we were, and we just eventually kind of got outnumbered, which is it's just fun. That's what I would consider fun. I like the combat in that game. I like using the kits that I load up, and like I had a good time. Not to sound weird, but like I had a fun time being overwhelmed by the scavs on there.
Right. It's as if they've made like a horde mode for Tarkov. When we were into Tarkov prior to the PvE upgrade or add-on, or however you want to describe it, I would frequently go into an offline raid where it was just me against an AI sort of army of scavs for the sake of practicing, because you don't lose anything. You could trick out some gun, go run it offline and see if it sucks or not, and it feels like that, but where you can actually make it out alive with some things. And when I played earlier today before this error message popped up and Tarkov, was absolutely boned for like 5 hours. I played Factory as a scav, and just like we had thought earlier, right? Like, hey, let's do a scav run and then we'll play PMC. I had a SKS, and I found out the dynamics with the PMC are pretty like unreliable so far, because they're hard to distinguish at first. You just kind of look for like a helmet and a vest, and like,
aggressive.
I think he's a little too tricked out, so let me get my iron sight SKS like trained on his nose. You know, like I'm ready in case this goes sideways. And there's these other scavs that walk by him, not in actual eyesight because he was like looting a crate, right? But there's these scavs that walk by that I'm like, if this was an online raid, that PMC would have absolutely blown those guys away by now.
Right.
Is that even a PMC? Am I wrong?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And then I don't know if it was happenstance or if they did something different. All of a sudden, the PMC activated on them and started shooting the scavs. So now I'm already ready to go. I knocked him out. And then there was another PMC that came from like the office of factory. And then there was like another one in, you know, that sort of elevated, like sketchy, rusted out. You know, there's those two like storage containers that have good gun parts in them sometimes. That sort of room. There was some other guy like up there, some PMC shooting at me from like up in the scaffolding. Anyway, I'm excited at the potential. I can't help but feel trepidatious, you know, because it's Tarkov. Like between technical issues and AI being super jank, like
I hope.
I think it's good. I guess it's good.
Right. I hope if nothing else, like the money that gets brought in from the PvE. And the desire to continue to capitalize on the PvE mode that they've created, I hope it prompts them to invest a little bit of that into sharpening up the AI. Because that might be the last thing that game, in a PvE respect, like really needs. Is like for there to be like tactics and a little bit of realism to the behavior. Because right now it's like very much. Not immersion breaking, but it's like, okay, this is definitely a game that I'm playing. Like I don't know how you guys are describing Ready or Not. It sounds like it's very realistic, and it sounds like the game kind of procedurally puts the bad guys. And it's easier probably because it's you approaching them, and you put them in set points, and they have like corners that they're specifically holding, and all that stuff. But like, I'm sure that game, which is fairly new, and probably doesn't even have as much. Probably hasn't made it a fraction of the money that Tarkov has made,
right?
Probably has better AI, and that's a shame because
I kind of think it does, dude. I kind of think it does. It only recently went 1.0. Tarkov, I don't think we can say is truly 1.0 because it's going to say beta testing for the next 9 years.
Right.
But like for all intents and purposes, Tarkov is a working product, right? They have, you know, Tarkov conferences and Tarkov competitions, and there's this arena mode that nobody asked for that's like actually retarded, and nobody plays. To compare and contrast Ready or Not for a second, and Greg, I'll be interested to see your takes on this. In Tarkov, the whole thing with the AI is you kind of have to know some of the common places they might be, things they might do, guns they might have. And there's only a couple kinds of AI where there's like idiot scavs with slug shotguns or, you know, a Taz or something like that, or a pistol. And then there's like sniper scavs, which are in one of a couple of set places. They used to always be in the same place, and now there's a couple places that they may or may not be. I'm thinking of customs when I say that. And then there's like, you know, the goons and the bosses, the like sort of big bads that, you know, you only worry about those after you've kind of gotten acclimated to the game. And by that time, you've spent so much time on the subreddit that you just already know what to expect, and maybe you come prepared for that. In Ready or Not, every single time you play a mission, it's not the same as the last time. It's not the same as the last time. It's not the same as the last time. I've played that gas station mission, which I think all three of us have played. Because Jared, you and I, you know, when we had a brief dalliance with Ready or Not, I want to say we ran the gas station mission one time. I don't know how well you remember it, but the gas station mission, I've played it like 10 times now, trying to improve my score, trying to go non-lethal, whatever. And there's a guy in a different place every time. The walk-in cooler of the gas station is not necessarily the place where you find the hostages like you did the last time. The guns that they have, sometimes they have shotguns, sometimes they have assault rifles, sometimes they have pistols. You just don't know. It could be a mix of all those things. Sometimes there's people that will flank around outside the building. Sometimes they're all inside. You might know the map well, and that's huge. But like, it's pretty dependably like, you know, varied. They also will fake you out. I had somebody surrender. They went like this, and then I kept my gun trained on them as I walked forward. And then they pulled a pistol out of their pants and started shooting at me. I was like, all right, you made a poor choice. Pop, pop, pop. You know?
Yeah.
they're so wily, you know. So I don't know, Greg, what's your take on AI in Ready or Not, and what do you think you value in like a game that has good AI? What does that look like to you?
I think the thing about, I don't know which one I would say I enjoy more. I mean, Tarkov it feels so. I feel so hopeless when I play that game. Like I would never play Tarkov without you guys ever.
Right.
That would never happen. I would play Ready or Not without you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I would play that game by myself.
Good to know.
The thing, like, looking at the two games that I would say currently I prefer about Ready or Not is that it's consistent in its quality. You know, I'm not sitting there going, well, I'm going to get grenaded from 4,000 miles away, and, you know, Jared just dropped all this sweet gear for me to pick up, and, you know, maybe a gojillionaire, and I got, you know, a grenade, you know, magicked up my and
yes, dude.
and like there's been a lot of times I played Tarkov where that's what it's been, you know. Or we'll sneak around for a while and all of a sudden Jake's like, eyes, and then we're all dead in like 3 seconds. Like all three of us are dead in like literally 3 seconds. And Ready or Not, that doesn't really happen, at least not so far, you know.
Right.
And it does feel unique every time you play. It feels there's more emotional.
Oh, so much more.
It's a more intimate game for sure.
Dang, dude,
and
he's tearing up.
I was gonna say, did you cry, dude?
No, you're right though, because the only emotions I feel in Tarkov is like rage, dude. Like you know, it's like 8, and by this I mean online Tarkov before the PvE upgrade. And I think I will continue to refer to it as an upgrade because this is a massive upgrade for normies like me that aren't going to dedicate that much time to the game. In PvP Tarkov, you're going like 70% of the time, you know, at least again for a normie like me, you're raging at like stupid circumstances. AI shouldn't be able to head eyes me from that tower up there. Right. That's so stupid. Why do they shoot me in the earlobe and I'm dead now? Right. Why did this boss spawn this time and not the other time? Why is that? You know, why does that guy over there have the ability to, you know, inject a macro into the game server and magic a grenade on my ass? That's not cool. And then about 20% of the time, there's elation because you made it out alive and it's radical. Yeah. It's so cool to feel victory in Tarkov is like really special. And then 10% of the time, you're in the game menu selling things. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just neutral. There is no emotion to that. That's like, in some ways, I know you feel some type of way about a good in-game economy, but you know, for a lot of people, that's just like kind of the drone work of playing a game like that. But it's a survival game. It's a crafting game. It's you know, it's got something for everybody, and one of those things is a big hub worlds kind of experience. You know, where you're selling and crafting, questing.
Yeah. The game is kind of like Blood Diamond. It's I'm the black guy who finds the diamond, and then the game is the bad guys, because every like I want to say like I'm gonna remove 1% of your 20% when it's fun and you make it out, and I'm gonna set that aside and say that 1% is the time when the game is like at its best. Yes, and it's like. Jake and I have had runs where, like, it literally we come out of it and it's like we found the blood diamond. We've got it. And then the other 99% of the time, the game is the bad guys trying to take it away from us.
No, that's accurate, too. I dig that. There's and those memories don't really fade very easily when it really works, dude.
Right.
You tell all your friends about it.
Right,
like it can't be topped. It's simply the best.
And so Siege had times like that, too.
Dude, oh my gosh, yeah, for real. So I think the takeaway from this whole conversation is like realism can get you part of the way towards your goal of like eliciting an emotional response, making you feel like you got somewhere, giving some gravitas to the idea of playing this game. But polish can't be ignored, and like unfair, stupid mechanics that are RNG based or bad AI based, will ruin it every time. Right? I think that's kind of the gist of it for me.
I should probably rewatch Blood Diamond. I don't think I'm remembering that movie very well. When was the last time you guys
I've
saw
seen
that?
it, to be honest with you.
You
I
haven't
just
seen
know
that
the
one?
premise. No, I know the premise of exploitation and everything, but I don't know sort of the story.
It's a good flick,
I can't
dude.
think of a time I saw the movie. What I really miss about Tarkov that I hope to regain with the PvE is that 1%. Right? I want to know that I did my level best, that I made a mistake, and because of my mistake, I didn't make it out. If I die because a scav can one-shot me with a slug shotgun from that tower up there, that's lame. I don't want that.
Agreed.
If I just have to keep moving because if I don't, the AI will come after me, rad.
Right.
Let's go. Now I know, right? And maybe different maps will have different kind of flows to them because of where the AI tend to congregate. I'm thinking of woods, right? The sort of scav town where can you imagine with PvE, like if that gets flooded out with scavs, that could be pretty wicked.
The 1% of the 1% gets to enjoy Tarkov. It should not be so.
That's right.
Dude, your
This is a
Bernie
great
impression is
equalizer.
spot on, man.
That's very good. That's very good.
But anyways,
Jared has several good impressions.
Blood Diamond. You should check that one out.
Choose
It's
your
a good
boat.
flick. Damn the torpedo!
Impression time.
Bernie Sanders has a rousing conversation with the commentator from what was that? What game was that?
Hydro Thunder.
Was it Hydro Thunder?
Yeah.
The Midway guy.
That could be a great bit if like Bernie Sanders was accosting billionaires of having yachts and they shouldn't have yachts.
Right.
But the Hydro Thunder guy is like a boat salesman at like the marine store.
Yeah.
And he's like, choose your boat.
Yeah,
You're a billionaire. That's fine with me.
This is my friend, the commentator from the video game Hydro Thunder.
That's where you step in, Doug. When was the last time you guys saw The Last Samurai?
Oh, probably.
Oh gosh.
Probably. In fact, I can tell. I can tell you the year. It's probably 2006.
Wow.
And it was because my mom.
Elephant brain.
You know when buying DVDs in like the bargain bin at Walmart was a thing.
Yeah.
My mom got The Last Samurai in the bargain bin at Walmart probably in 2006 or 2007.
I was gonna say I think I saw it whenever we had it on DVD and my dad thought I was old enough. You know what I mean? It was just that kind of thing where it's like, hey, here's a movie you should see, son.
Yeah.
Sit down.
Did
Make
you
popcorn.
Did you see Blood Diamond, Doug?
I've never seen that movie. No.
Oh man, you guys need to have a watch party.
There you go.
DiCaprio's doing his South African guy accent.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Jennifer Connelly's in it.
That name sounds familiar. What does it look like?
Adwale Dongabishu Agbaje, whoever that guy is, that is in the like straight to Netflix movies that I'm seeing.
Well, here's a question for you boys to steal from Greg's usual thunder of
My Hydro Thunder.
your
As
Hydro.
it
Hydro Thunder.
What are your favorite parts of realistic, quote unquote, tack shooters? Like what about that genre or that subgenre, however you want to frame it, like revs your engine? What do you dig about, whether it's the gunplay or gadgetry or movement, or like what do you think of when you think of like a tack shooter?
I'll go first. And the reason I'm going to go first is because I like these kinds of games the least of the three of us, right? And so my answer is
that's
really
fair.
short and sweet, and then you guys can talk a lot about it. I like the LARPing part of it. Like, it's not something that I'm not passionate about guns. I'm not. And I'm not passionate about law enforcement. I'm not passionate about realistic shooters. But I am passionate about hanging out with my buddies who are passionate about those things and watching them geek out and me feeling like I'm a little jungle snail, you know, or like I'm a little, you know, I'm on a ride along, you know.
That's right.
That's for me. It's the LARPing part, you know. It's the like just kind of the pretend part for me, you know. That's my answer.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Nice. I didn't brag on you enough probably when we talked about Ready or Not. Greg was out here. All right, I'm restraining him. He's restrained. Cleared the corner.
Nice.
And Greg was like getting it. I was
Right.
like, my man. And then he was like, "Sorry, is that gay? I don't mean to do call outs. I'm kind of getting into it. Is that okay?"
You have
like,
to.
Yeah, dude. It's very okay.
Yeah. You absolutely have to do that. Yeah, I don't know if it's the realism. For me, okay, so I was going to say when Jake was talking about the economy part, I do love games with economy. I remember there's been times I played Madden Ultimate Team one year, and I played a lot of sports games, but like back then I really didn't play that much. It was all like Halo and stuff like that. My brother comes in and he would come in and leave and go. We shared like a gaming room at that point, and then at a certain point he just stopped and he's like, "Do you even play the football part?" Because I was just like flipping things on the like cards on the marketplace. So
Right.
I do have a fascination with that, but I also spent a lot of time like in middle school, high school airsofting.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't just like, I think people will think of airsofting and they're like, yeah, the guns you'd get at Walmart and like go in the backyard and blink around and shoot your friends and fart around. I was like in airsofting. I was like taking them apart, like rebuilding them, upgrading them. They were expensive. Like they're expensive as real guns, some of them. Like
The good ones,
yeah. And I had like a bunch of them and I really enjoyed the aesthetics of that and just kind of, I guess you could say LARPing. Honestly, it's not like it's not like the coolest thing to like go out there, but at the same time, it is
Yeah, I
fun
got you.
to. I don't even know how to describe it. There must be something in our bones that just is like war cool. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There's
War
nothing,
equals cool.
right. There's nothing particularly cool about war, but like
You were super into airsoft. Did you ever did you grow up in Arizona?
yeah.
So, Jake, like here in North Carolina, we got lots of woods and trees and stuff, right? And I went to high school with a bunch of dudes who were super into airsoft. I was not, but they always had extra camo and extra gear and extra guns for me to borrow, and I would go with them and get my little blown off.
Right.
and I was terrified every second we were out there.
Dude.
But I remember being in like camo and like laying them down in the woods. I remember like one time like literally laying for like 45 minutes and nothing happened. And I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever done.
Yeah. The prospect of like getting a kill is like super dope. And I actually have a story. There's certain things about airsofting that I really remember. There was this one time I went to school with a kid named we'll call him Larry Bird.
Okay, cool. You went to high school with Larry Bird. How about that?
And Larry. Yeah. No.
'Cause
No,
that was
we
his
won't
name.
call him that. We'll call him Gadolf Blitler. No. So Larry Bird had a brother named Bo. His name was Bo. Okay. So I hadn't seen Larry in a long time, but we just kind of all the guys that I knew kind of stayed connected with certain people, and they're like, yeah, Larry's coming out, and Larry was a dork, guys. I mean, Larry, but he was our dork. He was our guy. He went out like when we played football in middle school. He was on the team, and he was one of our worst guys, but like we loved him. It's like he's Larry.
Yep.
So Larry goes out there and he brings his brother Bo, and I hadn't seen these guys in a long time. And I was always real nice to Larry. I didn't know anything about Bo. But we're out there, and slowly as the day kind of progressed, Bo is like verbally abusing Larry, who's harmless and helpless almost, and like very sweet, and like just kind of puts up with it. Bo would just rag on him, man, rag on him all the time, ragging on him. They brought walkie-talkies, and Larry goes to the car to get something, and Bo's on the walkie-talkie, and he's on there. He's like, why did you, Larry, can I talk like this? He's like, what did you want me to grab? And he's like, I wanted you to grab my unjamming thing and my bag of BBs. And he clicks off the radio, like that. And I was like, it was on at that point. I was like, who do you think you are? I was like, hey, man, be nice to him. He's like, He's such a nice guy, and he's like a dork. He doesn't know.
Yeah.
So we start playing, and I make sure that I'm against him because I'm not going to pass up the opportunity to shoot this guy.
Yeah, for
and
real.
We're playing, and I packed I had a Mac 10 with it was CO2 loaded. You load a cartridge, like a little 12-gram cartridge into the mag, and it holds like 50 BBs. And I bought it. My dad actually bought it for me from a guy in a van across town on Craigslist.
So
I found it on Craigslist.
Quality,
yeah,
baby.
dude. I found it on Craigslist, and I was like, "Dad, are you still across town?" Like it was like one of those things where everything aligned because at that point, everything had to align, or else my parents were not going to do it. They were busy enough. And he buys me this thing. We're out there, and I'm sneaking around, and at one point, it's just like talk about things aligning. I see Bo, and his butt cheeks are just right there, dude. He's just hanging out. He has no idea I'm there. I pull the Mac, and I just unload the entire thing. Halfway through the mag, I'm nailing him with this thing. Halfway through the mag, he's like, "I'm out. You got me." And I'm just holding it down until it clicks, dude. And that right there is like, it's so juicy for me. Like that's like not formative because I'm not like abusing people and like that's what has formed my psyche, but like it's such a memorable thing because the reward was so pure. Because I kind of made this kid pay, but it was like my thing that I loaded it myself. I took it out there, and that juice is still there. Like with these tack shooters, where it's like when it all pays off, when it all lines up, and the kit that I brought in with the rounds that I specifically picked to put in the gun, like, yes, and I just it's that's the payoff for me, and that's what I'm describing largely with this genre is like that 1%. Those games, Tarkov is a gold mine, but not in the sense that you think when I'm saying it's a gold mine. It's literally a gold mine, as in I'm panning through slag and crap 99% of the time, and every once in a while I get a nugget of gold, and I'm like, yes. It kind of reminds me of when Tom Cruise in The Last Samurai finally gets.
I was wondering when this was going to come back.
No, that's it for me, and especially with teammates, with you guys, when we're communicating and things are going. Even when things aren't going that well, it's still pretty fun. And the one exception to that is cheaters. And unfortunately, Tarkov has a ton of cheaters. But with this new mode, I think it's going to be a lot of fun to just like, even if we lose, it's like, well, at least like, we know it was kind of our fault.
Yeah.
So,
There's not some kid in California like beating his meat to the fact that he head-eyed me from across
beating his meat on the other side of the screen.
now I can't remember because it's been so long since I've been shot with an airsoft gun. It's been, probably 20 years, literally, since I was like 14. Yeah. Does it hurt to get shot by it? Because like paintball hurts. Paintball hurts a lot, I think. Does airsoft hurt less or more than paintball?
It depends because you can put like when you're playing with the big boys, you soup up the. I mean, when I was playing, Li Poly batteries were kind of like the new kid in town. I'm sure there's something crazier now, but Li Poly allowed you to like put down like serious volume, and you can get peppered up with like 20 BBs in like 2 seconds, and it hurts. It does hurt because they're going like 330 FPS, something like that.
I was going to ask when you played, because I have some sort of war stories of airsoft and paintball in my past too, and gel blasters. Those like gel blaster guns that are popular right now. Those are fun. Were you guys like using a chrono and actually timing these things and seeing what kind of FPS you were getting, or were you just kind of like all's fair in love and war, like go out in the desert and shoot them up? Who cares?
Yeah, I didn't have a chrono. I watched a ton of videos, and every gun that you bought, like if it came pre-built, it would say like what the spring is rated for.
It had advertised like FPS.
Right, and I remember I had one gun that people like were like, I don't want to play with you anymore. Like not in like a I'm so afraid of you, but they're like, that gun is too hard, dude. You can't be playing with that thing. And I was like, yeah, okay. Right. So it once it gets around 400 FPS, it becomes like a little scary. You're like, I don't think this is fun. Payoff is
I remember using a chrono one time on a paintball gun that I had been using sort of informally, not exactly a sanctioned event, woods ball and just kind of doinking around with the homies.
Yeah.
And I went to an actual paintball range where they were going to make you chrono, and it had to be 300 or less, and you needed to take your gun over there to the guy and get checked out before you played.
Yeah.
And there's ways to work around that actually too, but anyway, whether or not people were working around it, I don't know. And it was like 340.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Whoa, hey, you know how to turn that down, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll do the thing. Sorry about that."
Right.
He was like, "It's fine. I'm just glad we did this chrono before you go in there and destroy these children."
Right.
Because I've always been like pretty good at that kind of stuff. I think it's the military brat in me, and just sort of growing up in the culture of like I did paintball for my birthday more than once at Davis Monson with my dad, and honestly, you get a bunch of Air Force, get military dads to take their kids to play paintball, and it's like just hours of fun,
right?
And so I remember thinking, oh, I've shot people with this, and it was chronoed at 340 feet per second.
Right.
My bad.
Right.
I bet that really sucked. But I didn't know, So, yeah, I love that stuff, dude. I think the takeaway for me when it comes to tac shooters and what I come back for is kind of like what you were saying about like my loadout made my success possible. I nerd out over the gear.
Yeah.
And so a game that has a sufficient amount of like gear porn is gonna be scratch my itch,
Yeah.
In Ready or Not, it's a variety of guns, and then you just do like you just got so washed out by light.
I just got flashbang.
You did, yeah. In Ready or Not, you have assault rifles, shotguns, and submachine guns, and the only things you can really customize is like grip, muzzle, sight.
Yeah.
Honestly, I could do with more, right? And maybe that's coming one day. I don't know. There's mods out there and stuff, but that's what's in the game, sort of, vanilla. In Tarkov, you can customize like the gas block, like there's lots to do.
You can put like toenail polish on your character in Tarkov, literally.
Seriously. Yeah, it's to the degree that you are a gun nut, you can do whatever thing it is that you want to do, you can probably do it. Right. Not to mention they use their actual names and sort of model numbers, So if you have an AR in your gun safe right now that has an EOTech, and it has such and such grip, and it's a Daniel Defense, and it's got a A2 birdcage on the end, you can build that gun in freaking Tarkov.
Right.
I don't live for that necessarily. I don't need that, but and then there's games like Rainbow Six Siege where the gear is, and I almost hesitate to call that a tac shooter, right? Maybe they meant for it to be, but it's certainly not now. Yeah. There's a combination of gear that you bring as a team, and your composition of a team, and your unique abilities, and your gadget choices, and your intel, your ability to collect information enables your success.
Yeah.
And I like games that do that. I think that's one of the things that Ready or Not really needs is like, little drones or some sort of interactive feature where you can like get some ISR or some thermal footage or something. I think that would make Ready or Not feel that much better. Anyway, yeah, tac shooters are rad, and hopefully Tarkov PvE does us right.
Yeah.
And I'll keep checking it out. We'll see. Hopefully there's not many more like technical issues. That was kind of a bummer today, but it was relatively recent that it rolled out, so I guess I can forgive Nikita for one more thing.
You're on thin ice, mister.
That's right, Nikita, if you're listening, better watch your
or what is it? Cheeky breaky. Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, boys, thanks for going deep into the weeds with the tac shooter talk. That's a good time. And Greg, I appreciate your desire to LARP around with the pals. That rules.
Oh, it's fun, man.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
When we first booted up Ready or Not, we went through like the CQB like arena with like the plywood everywhere. It was like,
dude,
oh yes.
Greg, was the game like frighteningly loud when you first played it?
I don't think so.
I don't know why that was exclusively Jared experience. It was so loud that I was like, I turned it down to like 10%, and it was like still. I was like on the border. I was like, "What's going on with this game? The guns are like as loud as real guns. Why? Terrifying."
Did you have do you remember if you had a suppressor on your gun or not? Because if you pull out like a SBR and you've got like a muzzle brake on there or something, it is.
That's
loud.
what I was thinking. Is like maybe
it is really loud.
Maybe it's supposed to be like that. That's cool. In that case, that's cool. Then I put a silencer on. It's like, oh wow, I can tell the difference. That's cool to me. But I just couldn't tell if that was on purpose or not.
I think it's on purpose, but I don't know. Actually, your mileage may vary, right? Your sound card may vary. I tell you what, the AI reacts to that. If you walk into a room and you shoot one guy in the face with like a really loud, like you can use like a FAL sort of caliber, like you can use the 7.62x51 like DMR,
wow,
but with like a short barrel and just like blam, like absolutely destroy someone,
scare everybody.
And the other guys in the room were like, "Okay, I'm sorry." Whereas if you bring in, suppressed MP5s and you're just like pit, getting rid of guys, people kind of come see what's up. And they're like, what was that? They're not scared by it at all. And the AI actually reacts to sound. Anyway, take notes. Tarkov,
you think it would be the opposite?
And PUBG for that matter. Oh, man, PUBG's AI is horrible.
Yeah.
Was that you said?
I said, you think it'd be kind of the opposite. I think I would, if I heard silence shots, I think I would run even faster away from it.
You should.
Be like,
that's
God,
right.
These guys sound like they've got a plan.
This guy's got money for a silencer? Uh-oh.
He can afford it?
Yeah. If you can afford to break into my house without me hearing you and shoot silenced weaponry.
The 1% of all can afford silencers on their guns.
I'll never forget, Jake told me the first time we ever shot guns together, I don't know if you remember this, we were with our old buddy Alex Lemons out in his like house way out in Troy. And
did you come out there? Oh my
yes.
gosh, I've only been to Alex's like a handful of times. That's surprising. I don't remember this horribly well.
It was like literally 10 years ago, right? Like a decade ago.
Your memory's incredible.
And Alex had a shotgun up on his TV. What do you call it? His mantle.
Like on a mantle, yeah.
Yeah. And Jake said, Dag, do you want to hear the scariest sound you'll ever hear in your life? And I was like, sure. He said, go outside and knock on the door. And so I walked outside, and I knocked on the door, and Jake went, and I went, oh my God.
Defecate in your pants?
I can't believe I did that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, this is the movie episode. We're shifting away from the conspiracy podcast, and we're going to be a movie podcast now. You guys ever see Ace Ventura when he goes to find Ray Finkel
and a new pair of shorts?
I'm looking for Ray Finkel shirt, and a clean pair of underpants.
Yes,
awesome.
Dude, that was dang for sure. Yeah, I like that. We're gonna go from being a ableist conspiracy theory tax shooter podcast to being a movie podcast.
Dude,
that's right.
You got to find your niche, I like how you threw ableist in there.
Well, you've said it. You've said it like 14
I know, we
times
are,
on
we
the
are,
podcast. Are we an ableist podcast?
Yeah,
I think we're an ableist podcast.
Okay, but before we go, just because you made me think of it, this is quick.
Go ahead.
Favorite stupid comedy movie that's like maybe not a legitimately good movie, but we're thinking 80s, 90s, maybe early 2000s. Comedy movie that is just like you just think is hilarious no matter how many times you watch it.
Oh, that's a tough one.
We gotta eliminate Jim Carrey because that's too easy, right?
I agree. Okay, that's fair.
Because Dumb and Dumber and Ace Ventura are just more.
I know. Let's send Jim Carrey out of the room for a moment. What else you got?
I think Billy Madison or Happy Gilmore. I mean,
that's a good pick.
Come on.
I mean, you almost have to send Adam Sandler out of the room because all of his movies are hilarious and sort of similar, between themselves in a way. The cast is similar, what I thought you were going to say for sure, Dag?
Full Metal Jacket.
Animal
House. Yeah, I mean, Animal House is a legitimately good film. So it's different, but Animal House I think is the funniest.
This is
movie.
now an Animal House apologist podcast.
Oh, no.
I mean, Animal House I think is the funniest movie ever made. So that's But I'm biased.
If you have, I know. I was just gonna say, if you have 1 ounce of frat boy in you, Animal House is the greatest movie of all time.
Well, Animal House also is
incredible.
special to me because my dad showed me Animal House when I was 8 years old.
Oh my god!
Stop that! Are you joking?
No, my dad was like, "Hey, you're gonna think this is really funny," and I didn't get half the jokes in the movie, but I was laughing the whole time, And then now
And you saw them.
and then I saw in the movie. I think that was probably the first time I saw in a movie. But yeah. What about you, Jared?
Wow.
Jake, what do you guys think?
They're the same movie, so I'm gonna say it. But they're both so awesome, and I'd watch them forever. Tommy Boy and Black Sheep probably are the ones that I watch the most. Man.
Those are hard to deny.
Well, and Beverly Hills Ninja also with Chris
dude.
Farley.
Beverly Hills Ninja is awesome, dude.
Dude,
I
rip
am
to
Haru,
a ledge.
the Takagura Dojo.
Yeah, Farley's the man. And honestly, I have a huge appreciation for just David Spade, but
Me too.
Quick advert, unpaid. David Spade has like an autobiographical like book out. And Andrada and I listened to the audiobook version of it on a road trip one time. It was really sick.
Nice.
He talks about Farley a lot. It's very
He's
cool.
from Phoenix, dude. Or no, he's from Tucson.
I know. Isn't that crazy? That was the best part of. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think Casa Grande is where he sort of like says he's from.
We claim
that
Casa Grande, I
sucks.
guess.
Yeah, it's Casa Grande ain't Phoenix. I'll tell you that.
And it ain't Tucson. That's where we all. I'd always have drum corps camp, and you'd come pick me up.
I know.
Just in Casa
Casa
Grande.
Grande? What are you doing out in Casa Grande? What is going on out there that they would bring anybody from an airplane?
There was a drum corps in the southwestern United States, and it meets in Casa Grande in the summer. I don't know if it does still, but it certainly did at that time.
Yeah.
One of mine, and maybe this is the hot dress legs fanboy in me coming out. Wayne's World. Wayne's World is a huge favorite of mine. It's a movie that has some delivery that's like, it's very SNL heavy. Which, to be fair, some of our other flicks we've mentioned so far are also SNL heavy. It was in an era of like, let's take this SNL skit and turn it into a movie. And so it has the air of like a cash grab, low budget flick,
Right.
but it's not that low budget of a flick. And there's some names and faces in there that are like, oh, check it out, they got so and so. And there's lines in there that I like to repeat to my wife to make her roll her eyes out of her head, and that's a great feeling.
Right.
where I'll like come out of the shower in like a towel, and then I'll be like, "Happy birthday, Mr. President."
Hey, I thought you only did that with me.
No, I'm sorry. What you weren't my first, and you won't be my last.
This is now an ableist conspiracy movie gay podcast.
That's right. Yeah, I quote sometimes in my head because I know she's listening, or sometimes just in my actual life. I quote Wayne's World quite a lot, and I think that rules. Or the gun rack scene, dude, where they're at the diner and Wayne's like crazy ex-girlfriend comes in, and she's like, "Happy birthday, Wayne! I got you a gift." And he's like, "Stacy, hi. Why would you get me a gift? We're not together anymore." And she's like, open it. And it's this unwieldy, ridiculous, and wrapped somehow gift. And he opens it up, and it's a gun rack. And she's like, "Do you like it?" And he's like, "Stacy, I don't have a single gun. I don't own a gun, let alone many guns to necessitate a gun rack."
Funny, dude. I need to rewatch that one. It's been a long time.
It's so good. You should. And I want to hear about it on the next
Well,
podcast.
I will if you guys watch
good.
Blood Diamond. Finally, if you guys,
That's not a fair trade, but okay, I guess.
You guys seen Heat?
I've actually never seen
Dude,
it.
Maybe.
If you have to
Maybe?
think about it, then you better go watch that movie. You
Listen, you
you've
said
been
this
talking about guns all night, and you haven't even seen Heat.
You said this about Training Day, and what did I do? I went and watched it.
Well, you gotta
You said
watch
this
Heat
about
now.
Sicario, and what did I do? I went and
have
watched
I
it.
led
Give
you
me a
astray?
break.
I have not led you astray.
You haven't led me astray. I'm just saying. Give me a break.
No, yeah.
There's a lot of
You
movies
should
out
You
there.
should watch Heat, dude. That's
You guys,
a great flick.
you guys have got to watch Laserhawk.
What?
Laser Hawk?
You got to look it up. Laserhawk.
What kind of Bollywood What are you talking about? Laserhawk.
Just one of those.
Captain
like,
Laserhawk, a Blood Dragon remix.
1997
French
film.
American adult animated television series.
It's not the
Mark
animated
Hamill.
one. It's got Mark Hamill in it.
Mark Hamill. Not animated.
It's showing me stupid stuff from the animated thing. I'm gonna go
Laserhawk, 1997.
Wow.
Teenagers in a Midwest town discover that they are destined to fight off an alien invasion as the crew of a spacecraft of unknown origin. They are aided by a mysterious patient in a psychiatric hospital and a frenetic comic book artist.
Dang, dude, Laserhawk.
It's so
cool
bad.
name, bro.
It's one of the worst films
Did
ever
you-
made.
I was going to say, where are you pulling this from?
So when I marched drum corps, we would always stop at Walmart.
Yeah.
And like my rookie year of drum corps, we stopped at a Walmart and we found Laserhawk in the bargain bin at Walmart. And so one of the guys I marched with saved it, and we watched it every
That's
year.
sick.
And we would always pick a night and be like, it's Laserhawk night. And we put it on the charter bus TVs.
I love
and like
a good
subject
senseless
everybody
tradition.
to it. So bad.
Nice.
All right, Laserhawk it is. I'm going to have to choose between Blood Diamond and Laserhawk and Heat.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for putting up with us bozos. Are you kidding me? How do we? How are we so lucky as to have folks that care to listen to us doink around? We had one segment planned, and here we are. We were like, oh yeah, let's do a real short.
If
little
it
episode. It'll
wasn't
be
for
great.
you, we would have already ourselves. So thank you so much.
We derive our entire sense of self-worth by our tens of listeners participating in our podcast. So thank you.
And if we don't reach at least
yeah.
20 listeners, Jared's going to himself.
I'm going to myself with a sword
Hey,
like
man.
in The Last Samurai.
Bad.
Damn the torpedoes.
Oh man! Be sure to follow us on Instagram at 3GrassTouchers. We are gonna try to play some dang video games coming up here, and so, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you check out our YouTube channel, also at 3GrassTouchers. And before you know it, there'll be some more content up there, I promise. In the meantime, get out there, enjoy your summer, and touch some grass.